Austin and James.
Did you guys have Jarvis up here already? I saw Honey Badger. I was just seeing. All right, it's not an LSU thing today. Great.
Cam, do you remember when Dennis Allen came back after he was in Oakland? Like,
Do I remember after going through 4 D coordinators to get to decoy number 5 or 6 for me? No,
Yes.
I don't remember.
Yes, I'm sure you don't remember it. But I guess do you remember like when he became available, were people in this building all sure he was going to come back?
He wasn't coming back for me. It was my first time seeing him. He left before I got here.
Right now, were you around people who were saying like Dennis Allen is probably going to end up back with the Saints? I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't think so, because at that time that was that I wouldn't call it awkward. I'd call it awkward. That awkward transition year of dual D coordinators, of Rob Ryan and Dennis Allen for the first few games.
Right.
It was
Before
awkward.
that, though, when he came back as like a senior assistant, I guess my point is like, I was talking to somebody and they said, as soon as Dennis Allen became available, it kind of seemed a sure thing he'd be back in New Orleans because people in this building
Know him.
liked him so much
Absolutely.
and knew him well, and I didn't know if you'd gotten that sense with other people. But it may have been in the off season, so
Yeah, I mean, like I
it
said,
may be hard to remember that part.
yeah, I mean, I definitely don't, because the the 2 coordinating things would be guys in the building had love for him, but that was the older guys or guys up top. So for me, it was a new chance to get with the new D coordinator, and clearly our defense took and have been molded since then to the ways of the 3-4. But no, seriously, when I think about DA coming in, you could see sort of a culture change in the locker room as well. Guys coming in, buying in, doing things the right way, and you see the fruits of the labor on the banners up there.
Any thoughts of this?
That way. That way.
A year after the hurricane, you guys having the lead and all that stuff, it was that week a year ago. What that was like, anything from that time away stick out for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we ended up going to Dallas, but as much as I could say, we were displaced or, in a state of discomfort, we were safe. I didn't have to worry about, if my family's okay. I knew they were already in Dallas with me for a little bit before they took off to Arizona. As long as my family's safe, physical stuff can always get replaced. So I could, I came back, fence was down, there was some ceilings or roofing I had to replace. That's all materialistic things. What was important for me was the family, and I was more worried about my neighbors who didn't who stayed and weathered the storm or whatever it was. But in terms of my close-knit circle, we were good. My teammates were in Dallas working. My family was in the same hotel that I was, so I was able to focus on what I needed to focus on. If the whole house had been blown down and wiped down, I'd have to start over and be living out of an apartment. But the family would be good. So as long as, like I said, as long as I'm physically able, as long as my family is healthy, I don't have to really worry about much.
Was it pretty seamless for the whole football operation?
We don't have to talk to higher ups for that one. Look, I focus on what I can control, and I knew that we had a plan in place about what we were going to do. And I remember after the storm passed, I flew up the first chance we got to see what was happening. Go grab a car, turn off some lights or whatever, empty a fridge. And then saw some of the devastation when we came through. Just of you remember what happened on the airline. I mean, the power poles that were out, the street lights that weren't there anymore, some of the houses that were damaged. And it was at that thought, me and James got together and created a little fund with United Way and really got things underway. I mean, I'd like to say we want to do so much more, but again, we were focused on trying to win that first week, and I think we did that.
And what was it like just seeing James slide yesterday and moving around like he was?
I mean, look, I believe that there's a plan for everybody, and they've got Jameis on a plan. I don't want to say I don't care about what happens this week or next week, as long as he's there week 1, but I don't care.
I can't kind of in that vein, a lot is made of like first team reps and preseason games. As a veteran player,
From who?
Well, it's always talked about in the preseason.
From who?
Well, the media. Right.
There we go.
Right. Well, that's my point. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
As a veteran player, is getting one series in a preseason game, does that really make a difference to you, or is it?
Sure,
kind of
it does.
Like, okay. Well,
For the media.
What is the difference? How does it work for you?
I think it lets the media know what the one's going to look like. Honestly, when it comes down to it, I've seen, players come in week 1 and be starters for a team. I've seen them come in week 4 be starters for a team. When your name is called, it doesn't matter what your state is. If you're physically able and mentally willing, let's go get it. I'm more excited about week 1 because I get to see guys flying around with live bullets. I can always speculate how well we do in practice because I think we look great in practice. I think we look phenomenal in practice. But anybody who's watched any football has been like, you guys look great in practice and get to a game and lay eggs. We're not, we're focused on being the best prepared that we can be for week 1.
Hey Cam, talking about being the best, look defensively, #1 red zone defense, scoring defense, allowing opponents 19.5 points. Is that something that has to continue to even be better than you were last year?
Absolutely. I mean, I think defense wins championships. I could turn on a number of Super Bowls and you can tell me why they won. You can look on the defensive side and say these were the reasons. We want to be the catalyst for winning. We don't want to be something like we're winning in spite of the defense. I think we've proved that over at least the last, let's call it 4 or 5 years. We want to be the main motor, and I think we got a hell of a motor on the offensive side now, in speculation.
Cam, Malcolm was telling us yesterday, working a lot from nose, that those guys kind of overlooked, underappreciated. Just how valuable are those guys in the trenches about what kind of what they do?
Man, they're the unheralded defensive heroes. They're guys that are the driving force. I mean, if I can get a great nose push, we can have a lot of pressure off this edge. That's why I always throw in David Onyemata being one of the most underrated D tackles in the game because he creates a lot of havoc in the backfield. Guys like Roach, Shai Tuttle, we bring in Contavious Street, Albert Huggins. I think that we've got a good rotation where we can create some push back there. I think that if we get exactly what we want from them, 3-4 yards in the backfield where a quarterback can't push up, then you have, me coming off the edge, Taco, Tano, Peyton, Marcus Davenport. We've got a plethora of ways where we can create pressure, and it's going to be a beautiful thing if everything works out the way I want it to.
Cam, are you,
Marcus Davenport, can you speak a little bit on
What about him? He's a freak of nature. I've been saying it for 4 or 5 years. You guys didn't catch on until last year. That's on y'all.
just over the last couple of days with him getting more and more involved in team participation, drills, things like that? What have you seen from him in terms of resilience getting back to that spot?
I mean, this is sort of like what Marcus does, right? He knows how to bounce back. I mean, nothing really holds him back at this point. This is just trusting the process, trusting the plan of him ramping up. I'm not going to say I don't care about. I just want him for week 1.
Cam, are you disappointed?
And 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Yeah.
Are you disappointed that Matt Ryan is no longer in his division, considering all the sacks you've had against him?
No, not at all. I would never be disappointed that a guaranteed meal is not coming. No. Who cares about Thanksgiving? Just everybody.
Damn, Eric
Having a
McCoy
good time
called.
out there today with the music, and how was
The music was flowing. It was definitely a Vegas vibe today. So if you're in Vegas, you either have to buy in or you're not going to have fun. So I'm going to have fun regardless. And I clearly had to buy all the way in. You got to fist pump when it's time to fist pump. The footwork has to be hot. You can lose your rhythm in it. So, I think that's why it's good for everybody.
Eric McCoy called it like his least favorite time of the year because you make friends with some of these guys, and unfortunately, some of them have to go. What advice?
That's his fault for making friends. No. Nobody told him to be that friendly.
Okay.
He's an offensive lineman. He's not supposed to be that friendly.
All right. What advice can you give to the guys on the bubble? I guess.
Man, the idea of being in NFL camp, the idea of being in the NFL is that this is not for long. Eventually, no matter how long you want to play, nobody gets to play forever. Someday, Tom Brady will have to retire. Someday, I'll have to hang the cleats up. Now, whatever capacity that is, however that may fall, it's up to us to give 100% effort. So for a young guy on a bubble, guy who may not make the team, one of the surprise cuts, if you've been working your derriere off, if you've been putting in that work, if you have shown that you belong, somebody will find you. It's not about this 53-man roster. It's about putting your living resume, as Antonio Brown said it, resume, out there so people understand exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're about. And again, they're going to find, if you may not be a fit, or even if we just run out of space, because we are a team that is talented. If you show that kind of talent, you show that kind of fervor for this job, somebody will find you.
How do you think Dennis Allen, every NFL season has a crisis at some point, major injury,
Why would you say that?
How do you think,
Why would you do that?
how do you think Dennis Allen?
You know how many quarterbacks we went through last year? This is what do you say?
I'm asking you. How do you think Dennis Allen will handle the first crisis, whenever it occurs?
I mean, not only did he step up and was a head coach for a week or two last year when Sean went down, he's been a head coach before, and we don't hold that against him for being a head coach where he was. I think that was a crisis. So for him to come in and be a part of the Saints where, again, we have trust there. I know him, he knows me, he knows the defense. We know, the defense knows him well. Offense knows him and is getting to know him better. I think that we're going to handle any adverse situations with extreme positivity and the manner in which we need to get the job done. It can't be, since you put it out there, it can't be worse than going through, 58 starters last year? So, as long as we've got our best 11 versus, our best 11s on offense and our best 11 on defense, I'll take that versus anybody. And don't let me mention the special teams. I'll take my best 11 on special teams versus anybody in the league.
Can you explain what the Instagram post was about the
Which one?
shit?
The Fu Manchurian, I'm a self-proclaimed Fu Manchurian. I just feel like I not only am I a soldier, a warrior, a merc for hire, like this, it just has to rock. So I got a Fu Manchu, but my Fu Manchu has hang time. I'm distinct. There's a lot of guys that be like, yeah, he had a good mustache, and that's nice for the guys playing around in the kiddie pool. Come over to the deep side. There's levels to everything, and I'm clearly ahead of the game. So I feel like the Fro may or may not be here by season, but the Fu Manchu will.
Cam, last year you were probably in December. You were joking you weren't going to say nice things about Dennis Allen publicly anymore because some team would hire him away. What made you so sure? What about him made you so sure that some team was going to come try and get him?
I mean, when you've had that as much success as a D coordinator as he's had in, let's call it the last 5 or 6 years, top 3 in running defense, top 5 in running defense year in, year out, the resume starts to look real shiny and real good. So somewhere in there is going to throw, one of those offers that you can't pass up on. Luckily, it was us. So I don't have to worry about, why I wasn't going to talk good about him.
How do you feel
We're here.
about those 2 new quarterbacks in our division?
Which ones?
Marcus Mariota.
I'll say each one has 2 different quarterbacks at their spots, right? I don't know. Did they come out with starters yet? I have not been in
Mariota and Baker.
Panthers.
Baker?
Okay.
I don't think Falcons have announced yet.
We'll deal with them when the time comes. I know we got the Falcons week 1. I'm not saying I'm already looking ahead. But as we look at the offensive line, we know their offensive line well, and Cordero Patterson is a hell of a player. From the time he came in as a All-Pro, Pro Bowl caliber special teamers to now a running back that creates a lot of scheme mismatches. I think they and Kyle Pitts, the way that he's performed and performed to expectations of him being a receiver type. He's created mismatches as well. So I think we're already thinking about how we can go ahead and put ourselves in the best position to win that game.
Yeah, the last few days we've been hearing a lot of ow chants.
Wait, one more after him or one more because of him? Sorry.
So what's the story behind that? Is that a 300 reference? What's going on with those chants?
Which ones? There's a lot of chants going on. Yeah, that's a linebacker situation. Okay. That's a very Demario Davis. You have to ask him. Okay. I like the idea because with their Warriors, but 300 didn't. They inspired a lot of people. They didn't survive. Not the movie that I saw. So maybe history was different from the movie. I don't know that far deep.
Thanks.
Swing.
Yeah.